Oh, okay. It says I'm live. Hey, Amphi here. Yeah. So today's my second stream. The first one went, I think, remarkably well. I mean, it could have been a lot better, I guess, but I'm struggling to think of how, because at the end of the day, it was my first stream. I was like incredibly awkward. The voice was not really working very well. Today, the voice isn't working well either. I'm gonna keep trying, but I think the problem is I'm just not used to speaking for so long for like without anyone interrupting me or something like that. So it's quite hard for me to just talk, you know what I mean, for such a long period of time, but that's okay. It's okay. We'll get through it. Yesterday's stream, if you guys were not here, let's go ahead and go to www.amphimancer.com, www.amphimancer.com. And we actually put out a short story yesterday called Hell's Administrator. So again, if you guys weren't here, essentially what we did is we went through all the writing prompts on Reddit and we found one that we found interesting, which was literally just, you got promoted to Hell's Administrator. Now, to be honest, this was not a particularly popular writing prompt. That is to say, there were not that many people who responded, and there weren't that many people who were interested in it outside of me. The reason I was interested in it was because I kind of made up this love story about how, like, I don't know, like the only way for two lovers across the hell and earth divide to see each other is if one was promoted to Hell's Administrator. I think it turned out really well. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a link here. And also here as well. I did, however, I need to apologize for something. So yesterday, I really thought it was March 30th. It was not March 30th. It was March 31st, which I should have known because it's the birthday of my sister. So maybe I shouldn't have given away that information. But anyway, long story short, I should have known that it was March 31st because today is obviously April Fool's Day, the most important day of the year, but I'm not doing anything because I didn't know it was April Fool's Day today. It's okay. Sometimes that happens. I don't know what I'm rambling about at this point. So I think I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm going to go ahead and go to the writing prompts, and we're just going to go through and find a prompt that we find interesting today. We're going to write it, and hopefully we're going to have a good time. Yesterday, again, went about as best as well as I could have expected, considering it was my first stream in like ever, you know? And so because it was my first stream, I thought, you know, just being able to write anything on your first stream is quite good because, you know, writing alone is quite different than writing on stream. I don't know how to describe it properly, but it's like when you're writing alone, you can just kind of write, you know, like you write and you rewrite and you rewrite. And specifically my writing process is a lot of rewriting. So let me go over here and explain it. So let me go to Zernal PP. Let me move this over here really quick. Move the terminal over there, do journal, paper color, black, select, and then we're going to journal, paper background, plain. Okay, there's a way to make it automatically set up so that like it does, I don't have to do this every time, but I'll figure that out later. It's not a big deal. Okay, so when it comes to my own writing process, what I typically do is I'll typically do like a lot of writing, you know, write. Let's say like maybe, I don't know, like maybe 50 lines or 50 sentences or something. And this gets all condensed into like a single sentence. So what I'm trying to say here is that like everyone kind of has their own different writing style, and it kind of depends on who you are as to like what style works best for you. For me, I find that like heavy revision works really well. So what I do is I typically write and I write and I write, and then I rewrite and I rewrite and I rewrite. And eventually after consistent rewriting again and again and again, it turns into something that I find, you know, I like. And I know that some people don't do the same rewriting process. I know that specifically when I do narrative poetry, I find that I spend so much time on every line that I don't typically need to do the same rewriting process afterwards. But in all of my writing, there's a very strong, like, write and rewrite and rewrite. So this stream has like a couple things going against it. One is that I'm live, and like, not only am I incredibly nervous because I'm live, but also it's really difficult for me to, write and express myself while also like pouring as much energy as I can into the creative expression that is writing. You know what I mean? I think I'll get better at it over time. It's certainly something that I'll get better at over time. I'm not too worried about that, but it's still hard just from that standpoint. You know, it's hard just because writing on stream is hard, but it's also hard because my own writing process is quite different than the writing process that I can do on stream. Like, I usually take like a very, again, methodical approach. I spend a lot of time on like every sentence. I do my best to make sure that, everything goes according to plan. But when writing on stream, I have to be a bit more ad lib. And so not only is the streaming hard, but the writing process is different. I'm doing short stories instead of like novels. Just so many things are different than what I'm used to, that streaming is sometimes a little bit difficult. I mean, it will be sometimes a bit difficult for me, but I think if I just push through it, it's okay. And yeah, that's rambling for today. Let me go over here. Yeah, that's like 5 minutes rambling. That's enough time for everyone to get in. Hello, people. How are you? Okay, let's go ahead and start looking at some writing prompts and go from there. Give me a second. I need some water. 1 second. Oh my goodness, I'm so nervous. I need to just give me a second. Give me a second. I don't know why streaming is so nerve-wracking. Give me a second. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. Let's go. Okay. Writing prompts. I don't know why Bluey is on the top of writing prompts, but it's okay. Like always, I'm going to start by looking at new, and then after looking at new, I'm going to look at rising and then hot to see if there's anything that sparks our interest. Again, the most important thing is finding a story that we find interesting, but it's also good if it's on new instead of like rising or hot, because if it's on new, it's more than likely at least somebody is going to read your work. Whereas if it's on hot or rising, it's quite unlikely that people are going to read it, because there's already going to be like a lot of other prompts that are there. And if there's a lot of other prompts that are there, then, why would someone read yours? It takes a lot of time to read. It's one of those things, So let's read through. So writing prompt: every human is born with a number on their forehead. No one knows what it means, and it rarely changes. But when you finally uncover the truth, everything about the world and humanity itself shifts forever. I could see this being interesting. I feel like this is one that I've heard a lot. Like I've seen this one a lot. You could make it something like quite monotonous, like, I don't know, seconds until your next bowel movement or something. I don't know. Like there's something here. I just don't find it particularly compelling. There could be something though. There's something, I just can't quite figure it out right now. Okay, so the next writing prompt is you, a common adventurer focused just hard enough to realize what was really going on. You were on a massive table surrounded by dice and giant beings. Everything went back to normal, but you've been looking for a way to re-experience that moment for the longest time. So I guess this is the story of like an NPC inside of a game of Dungeons and Dragons or something like this. So like there's a brief moment in time when this NPC is like, I don't know, like really, really popular and everyone is like enjoying their time. And then they kind of go back to normal life and they want to go back to live with the adventurers party. That is actually a kind of nice story beat. I could imagine that being really cool. So imagine that you have like like an NPC. You are an NPC, right? And you had a brief experience with the heroes party. In just any adventuring world, that could be quite interesting. And then you find yourself going back to your normal life, but your normal life is nowhere near as interesting or like extravagant as the life you had with the heroes party. So you spend your time like constantly chasing the heroes party. But this means that the NPC, like in the real world, right? All of a sudden you see this NPC keep appearing and appearing and appearing. And like, it's kind of like the game. Basically, the humans don't understand why this NPC keeps appearing. And the NPC is just trying to, like, hang out with the adventure party again. So I could see there's something here. It's like kind of a Toy Story type of thing, where, like, the NPCs in the game are kind of, like, acting in a way that would not normally be, like, in a way that's, like, autonomous, like, without the control of the dungeon master or anything. Again, that could be quite cool. I think it'd work better in a video game as opposed to a like D&D setting, but that's okay. I think there's something here as well. It doesn't take long, does it? That's the last thing she heard before the screams. Her head started throbbing, and as they got louder and louder, never ceasing, as she had no choice but to look up at the ceiling, trapped in her own head. Again, not bad at all. But I think this one's not for me either. Noticing the banner and logo change of the sub, writing prompts around the globe unitedly rise and riot, shouting for the return of the cute jack-o'-lantern and his ghostly pencil. It's April Fool's Day. I gotcha. I understand now. April Fool's Day. Haha. I got that. That one got me. Well, it finally happened. Satan quit. Even he has limits. I mean, we can turn this into something. It's not going to be the best story. And I also just did like a hell story yesterday, so I'm not super into it. But not bad. There's something that we could do something with that one. Okay. Let me see if there's any others here that are particularly interesting. So you were a C-tier hero. Your superpower never kicked in until one day a villain started beating you up. Suddenly your powers awoken. It wasn't something like super strength or laser eyes. It was combat adaptation. Yeah, okay. I have a bit of a beef with like a lot of Japanese short novels, short stories, short novels, light novels. That's what I'm looking for. A lot of the Japanese light novels are like kind of like the titles are literally the entire story in the title. It's like, you were reincarnated as a vending machine, or like you were reincarnated as a level 0 thief, but you always wanted to be a paladin. And so you married your sister on accident. And then you know what I mean? Like the whole, okay, there's no situation where you should marry your sister. I don't know why that came up. I'm so sorry. Okay, so long story short, don't marry your sister. I don't know why that came into the title, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like the titles are incredibly long, and like they're like unnecessarily like basically telling the entire plot. This kind of gives me that vibes. This kind of gives me vibes like a Japanese light novel, like you were a C-tier hero, blah blah blah. It's fine, it's fine. A vampire that's been around for thousands of years is flat broke. Again, I don't know why, but I'm getting these simple prompts. I like these simple prompts. They're like, I know that simple prompts don't do very well on writing prompts because like the way that writing prompts works, the subreddit, is that like you have to have a significantly interesting prompt for people to click on it and for them to read it to begin with. And these short prompts are typically not that. However, you as a writer want to have like as much freedom to express yourself as possible. And so it ends up being that like the prompts that are best for the writer are usually not the prompts that are best for writing prompts. And so you have to kind of like subvert a writing prompt for it to be good, for you to get like a lot of views on writing prompts. But for me, I don't really care so much about that because like, it's not like my business model is dependent on me doing very well on writing prompts or not. It's just that it'd be nice, to get a couple more people to read the work that you're doing, like that's kind of the point of writing is so people read it and they enjoy the work. And, part of that is, just reading, but another part of that is me streaming this to you guys. And like, we can, enjoy the process of writing the work as well as reading the work afterwards. I think, again, I think I'm pretty happy with how things are going. So yeah, one second. So let's keep reading here. There's a couple others that I could read. I'm not entirely sure whether, I don't know if any of these new ones are going to be good, but I'll go through it. So the two that I found that are interesting so far are Satan Quit, and then The Vampire's Been Around for Thousands of Years. That's flat broke. These are both okay. The next one is A Year After Humanity Was Enslaved and the Robots Turned on Their Masters and the EMP Hit the Earth. Wait. What's going on? A year after humanity was enslaved and the robots turned on their masters, an EMP hit the Earth. For the next 2 decades, all technology and machinery ceased to function. EMP is electromagnetic pulses. EMP is electromagnetic pulses, right? Okay, I'm gonna read a couple more, and then we'll go from there. So in modern times, the evil queen and Snow White are married. The evil queen tried to murder Snow White for being prettier than her. The police and court are shocked at this bizarre case. Okay, let's go to Rising, see if there's any in Rising and Hot. And we do have to remember, it is April Fool's Day, so we might want to do something a little foolish. Maybe me just streaming is already foolish enough. That's okay. So let's look at the Rising submissions, and let's look at the Hot submissions too. Okay, Rising submissions. Your grandmother always warned you about making deals with the Fae. You listened, you were careful, yet one morning you wake up with a ring on your finger and no memory of how you got married. So I've got a little secret that I wish I don't know what a fae is. I mean, like I should, but I don't have any clue what a fae is. So, I know that like you make a deal with it and they typically subvert like the deal in such a way. It's like making a deal with the devil, but they're usually more nefarious. I don't really know how it works. But this one's actually quite nice because it could be that like they didn't actually make a deal with the Fae, but they thought they made a deal with the Fae. You know, like it could be that the two of them have been like, basically this Fae has been consistently trying to make a deal with this person, you know, over and over and over again. They try to keep making deals. And then one night they just wake up and they realize they're married, but that marriage was not actually due to like any deal. It was more or less a like, they just got married. You know what I mean? Like they noticed that there was a romantic connection and, that was it. You know what I mean? Like no deal was made. They just mutually came together and decided, well, I guess that is what a deal is, right? Like, isn't marriage like kind of a deal? I guess it is, right? I mean, it is a deal. So, okay, never mind. Let's keep going. The law is clear, sir. If she floats, she's a witch. Else she must be considered innocent, says the trembling assessor to the inquisitor as they watch, horrified. The tide woman levitating above the water. Again, this one could be cool. We could do like, you know, this person isn't a witch. They're like Jesus, maybe. Turns out spells don't actually need spoken words, gestures, or arcane symbols. Any form of communication would do. Modern magic users have figured out how to use radio signals, flashes of laser light, and so much more. Now the first digital spells have been created and rapidly spreading online. I mean, that's just the rise of the internet. I don't know. This one's not super good either. Okay. But this always happens. Like, it's going to take some time to iterate on the ideas that we have. And we've been looking at this for, I don't know, like 10 minutes. So let's look a little bit longer for any more writing prompts. And if we see any that are speaking out to you, or if you see any that you might, you know, just let me know if you find any that you think are interesting. So, your grandmother always warned you, the law is clear. Turns out spells don't actually need any spoken words. Ever since the mutant integration program, human DNA became unstable. An oddly dressed pompous man emerges from a portal in your living room with a grimace of disgust, says, so people really did live like animals before the fall. Okay, let's just go with the two that I know are, like, I find interesting at this point. Fae, fairy, right? I think so, but the thing is, like, a Fae in particular, Fae deals, there's like something about Fae that are different than fairy, you know what I mean? Okay, this is D&D. I don't know if I necessarily want D&D. No. Stop. What? So, okay. Yesterday, 2 days ago, I had no AI overview on Google. Now there's all of a sudden an AI overview. I genuinely hate this feature. I can't explain why. I just genuinely hate this with every fiber of my being. Is there a way to turn this off? How do we turn this off? Okay, I just want to turn, no, I want to turn specifically the AI overview off. Just, okay, anyway, it's okay. We'll keep going. It's fine. Fae contracts, Fae deals and bargains. What is DM Academy? Oh, DM Academy was for DMs for, D&D. A guide to negotiation and bargaining with the Fae. I feel like that's AI generated. Is that AI generated? Anyway, it doesn't matter. In the mystical realm of fairy folklore, the Fae have long captivated the imagination of humans with their ethereal beauty, magical allure, and the enigmatic nature, and enigmatic nature. Interacting with these enchanted beings can be fascinating yet delicate endeavor, as the Fae operate under their own set of rules and customs, often leaving those who venture into their realm at the mercy of their whims. I'm having a lot of trouble reading this one for some reason. Okay, anyway. The risks of negotiating with the Fae: unpredictable nature, trickster nature, binding contracts. In some folklore, accepting a deal with the Fae can result in a binding contract, and breaking such a contract can lead to severe consequences. Once you make a deal with the Fae, it may not be easy to renegotiate or back out of the agreement, even if it turns out to be unfavorable. So I guess in this case, the marriage would be a binding contract, I guess. Favor for a favor, manipulation and deception, time dilation and length contraction due to Fae energy. Wow, that's a 1905 paper. Time in the Fae realm can be vastly different. cultural misunderstandings. The Fae operate on their own set of customs and rules. Okay, so I'm not entirely sure what they control, but I think just vaguely they have a lot of magic and they can kind of do whatever they want. And so you just have to be careful because they're tricksters. I think that's kind of what it's going with. Okay, so let's go through and let's take a look at... Okay, so we have a couple ideas that I think are interesting. So let's go through and kind of notate them. So the two that I found interesting were the vampire that's been around for thousands of years was flat broke. And then also, well, it finally happened. Satan quit. Even he has limits. The other one that could be interesting was the Fae contract. I think there's something to be said with the Fae contract. So let's go ahead and take a look at that one as well. Okay, so these are the three. Let's write them out and see which one we want to write. Journal, new page before. Okay, so the three we found interesting were one. Let's go ahead and change the color to blue, just because I like blue. How about pink? I like pink. Pink, pink, pink. Okay, so one is going to be, what was it? It was Satan. Satan quit. Two is going to be Satan quit. The other one would be, a vampire. Eternal vampire is eternally broke. And number three would be the Fae marriage. Okay, let's just kind of work on these and see what we find interesting, and we'll go from there. Again, if you guys have ideas and you guys like maybe even have your own writing prompt that you want to submit or you want to maybe talk about, like feel free to let me know. I'm totally keen to like not necessarily do a writing prompt off of Reddit. I'm also keen to do a writing prompt that you guys submit on your own. All that's totally fine. Okay, so let's talk about what I find interesting about the Satan quit one. So one, Satan quit. The reason this is interesting is because there could be a really interesting story here. Again, I don't know why, but like the story yesterday, I'm like in this hell mode. You know what I mean? Like I kind of like this idea of having this like this underworld that you kind of walk around and like essentially what we could say is that this is a follow-up from yesterday's story, you know? So in yesterday's story, Satan or the devil or the underkeeper, whatever we want to call him, this person basically took on an apprentice, you know? They called this person the administrator, you know? And so we could say that this is a continuation of that story of Satan consistently trying to figure out why this person is so like interesting or why she was able to do stuff that other people couldn't, you know? And then eventually Satan starts to realize that, you know, there's something wrong with their version of hell. There's something wrong with the underworld, in that he can no longer maintain the status quo anymore. And so he gives up his role to the person in charge, or it gives up his role to the administrator in such a way that like now he also starts wandering the world aimlessly, you know what I mean? So the reason this is interesting is a continuation of yesterday's story. And there's a bunch of different directions we can take this. We could go, one, a triangular love story, love triangle between Satan, the lover, and the admin, right? Something like this, which due to some struggles, he decides to step down from being Satan anymore. That could be something. Then there's also just something completely new, right? There could be like, you know, we could have a different version of the underworld, like 9 layers of hell, something like this. And he's just tired. He's been working at it for millennia at this point, and it's too much for him, right? So this could be like a bubbling cauldron type of thing. And eventually it all bubbles up and like he starts to realize that he just needs to like move on with his life or something like this. Maybe he gets reincarnated at the end. That could be an interesting take, right? So their version of the underworld could be such that when they die, they're reincarnated. And so the devil in this world, Satan in this world, has been constantly seeing people being reincarnated and reincarnated and reincarnated and seeing the same souls cycle through and cycle through and cycle through. And after seeing the same souls again and again and again and seeing them live life after life after life, he wants to live life too. You know, and so he decides to finally go through the reincarnation process. And you could argue that it could still be a continuation of yesterday's story. You know, it could still be this thing where he took on an administrator who was supposed to be his apprentice, specifically so that he could reincarnate himself and move out of, you know, this kind of purgatory hell-like state. I like that one. That's really nice. So the idea would be that he wants to reincarnate. Okay, this is all pretty good. I think I like this take. If we're going to go with the Satan quit, it's probably going to be B, which is going to be this reincarnation story. He wants to live life, but he can't because he's Satan. Blah, blah, blah. That's pretty good. I like that one. Okay, number 2. So the eternal vampires eternally broke. This one, the reason I find this interesting is because, vampires, vampires. They like blood. They like red things. But I think the thing that we could make, the reason this could be interesting is if it's a philanthropic vampire. Like, the reason they're eternally broke is because they've dedicated their lives to like taking care of like, I don't know, orphans or like people on the street or something like this. Like, basically they know that they don't need anything but like people's blood, and they're able to like drink other people's blood. But in order to like repent from the fact that they are just drinking people's blood all the time, they want to also give back to the community, and that's the reason they're broke. I mean, like, ultimately they're a vampire. They don't need money, right? It just so happens that in like folklore and story and all this kind of stuff, vampires usually have a lot of money. But it could be that this person did have a lot of money in the past and just decided it wasn't worth it anymore. He got rid of it. And there could be a story as to why. There could be, again, like a love interest or something would be interesting. But it could be another one of these. I don't know why my mind is going to like these stories where people want to die, but it could be another story where he's like actually trying to end his life so that he can like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to do like a super suicidal story though. So I don't think that's actually good. And it's kind of the same line of thought as in story number 1. So I don't necessarily think this is the best direction to go, but there's something here. I just think the story of Satan quitting is probably going to be a little bit better for that one. Okay, number 3. So this one is the Fey marriage. So this is the one that I find the least compelling, but I think it's still worth exploring. So the Fey marriage is interesting specifically because I like this idea of making deals with the devil again, right? The Fey in this case. But the final deal wasn't a deal at all, right? I don't know how to put this, but like the idea would be that, basically we have a Fae and a person. They've been constantly like fighting their entire lives. And the guy is like, look, I'm never going to make a deal with you. I'm never going to make a deal with you. I'm never going to make a deal with you. But as they've consistently not made deals with each other, eventually a romance has budded between the two of them. And that romance has led to, like a mutual kinship, like a relationship between the two of them. And at the end of the day, right, like the writing prompt says, your grandmother always warned you about making deals with Fae. You listened, you were careful, and yet one morning you wake up with a ring on your finger and no memory of how you got married. I think the no memory of how you got married part is a little bit weird. I think we could just say they were drunk and they went to the... they were drunk and they went to the courthouse or something. But yeah, that part I don't like. If it was just the rest of it, I'd be happy with that. And even if it said no memory, if it said like with no idea of how you got married, that would also be fine. If it said no idea of how you got married, I'd be okay with that. I could write a story about that. But because it has no memory, this indicates that it's like some sort of magical thing. And I would like this to be that there's no magic involved with their relationship. And that's what makes it powerful. Because you could say that the Fae themselves has like always lived their life and used magic to their advantage. You know what I mean? That actually makes it a really good point, right? Like the Fae consistently use magic in everything that they do. And so to have a relationship that is outside of the realm of magic, to have a relationship outside of the, to have a relationship outside of the realm of magic would allow them to explore themselves in a way that they couldn't otherwise. That could be pretty good, actually. I quite like that idea. But that's okay. That's okay. I think for now, this one is the one I like best. I'm going to do a quick refresh on new to see if anything else came up. Here we go. No, it looks like we still have the same ones. And so for me, I think we want to go with the devil reincarnation story. I think that's going to be the best one. So let's go ahead and start like workshopping it, thinking about what we actually want from this story. and like kind of pitching the idea, right? Okay, so journal, new page before. Here's the idea. I don't know why I'm going super hellish recently. It's not that I particularly like the landscape of hell or anything. It's just that somehow yesterday's story was about hell and today's story is about hell. I mean, if tomorrow's story is also about hell, we're gonna have to we're gonna have to do something. You know, like we're gonna have to get a separate writing prompt that's not related to heaven or hell. Maybe. Well, okay. Anyway, let's go. So let me get out my pen. And let's try to explain what's happening here. So in this version of reality, in this version of hell, we have Satan. Here's Satan. Oh, that's a big circle. Here's Satan. Okay. Here's Satan. He's angry because he's Satan, and Satan's always angry. Frowny face. Stick figure, because, you know, he's working out, I guess. Here's his pitchfork. Here's his other hand. I don't know. And so he oversees the reincarnation cycle, right? So he oversees soul after soul being turned into basically like a new person. You know what I mean? So basically the souls in this version of hell, I think the way I want to say it is that like hell itself has like, it's similar to how like human biology allows for some mixing of like people, you know what I mean? Like it allows for mixing of, like genetic material. I would also like to say that like in hell, there's also a mixing of the souls, you know what I mean? And so this reincarnation process is about not only finding yourself in hell and figuring out who you want to be in your next life, but it's also about mixing and you know, kind of like figuring out what pieces of other people you want to incorporate into the new you that you will be when you reincarnate, right? And so the idea here is that like Satan is basically a immutable force, right? Like Satan is Satan, right? And they never mix. They've never found anybody that they want to reincarnate with. And I think the story here, I don't know why I'm going with these hellish love stories, but anyway, and the story here would be that Satan now has found somebody that they want to reincarnate with, a soul that resonates with them in a way that they've never seen before. And so now they need to give up their title, or maybe they're going to reincarnate and they don't know who the title is going to go to. There's something here. I'm actually quite happy with that. So I think what we're saying here is that the devil wants to reincarnate and live life again, but has refused to do so because it requires some form of mixing with other souls. Right? I think that's a good story, right? And so the devil is like, part of the reason they haven't reincarnated is not just because they're the authority of hell, but also because they have never found anyone that they want to resonate with and they want to mix their souls together with. And that is part of the process of reincarnation. I think that's good. I think that's a good story to go with. Again, another romantic love story in hell. I don't want to necessarily play this beat all the time, but that's okay. I think there's a lot to play with here. So let's go ahead and let's scroll down a little bit and let's talk about the themes here. So one theme is wistfulness. Am I using that word correctly? Wistfulness, which is the feeling of like, I hope. Am I using it correctly? It is pensive longing. Yeah, longing, I think, is the word I'm looking for. It's like basically the devil sees after centuries and centuries these people constantly reincarnating and living their life as they want to live, right? And now the devil wants to feel and experience that as well. But the reason they haven't is because they're not afraid. They're not how do I put this? It could be that they put their work in front of their life. It could be that they are, maybe fear is what I'm looking for here, like fear of commitment, fear of relationships. I'm not entirely sure, but there's something that keeps him from forming that connection and forming that bond that he needs for the reincarnation. So things that we have to describe here is, one, how reincarnation works. Two, why has not reincarnated. Well, why the devil wants to reincarnate? Okay, I think this all works. Good. Okay, I think this is gonna be a good story. I think we have everything together. It's not as much as yesterday. There was a little bit less theory crafting, but I think that's good because ultimately I don't want these streams to go over like 2 hours, and we're at already 30 minutes in today's stream. So hopefully things will go okay. Again, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, feel free to let me know, and I will totally address it as soon as I see it in chat. 1 second. Okay, that's too big. There we go. Okay, I think this is big enough that everyone can read it. So let's go CD projects, scribblings, ls here. We're going to CD source content, ls CD into 2025. Now we're going to do ls here. We're going to make directory April. And we're going to go into vi, vi1.md. Okay, let's go ahead and put down the prompt first. I think we're going to call it like the end of the devil. No, reincarnation. The devil's reincarnation. I could, again, make this a continuation of yesterday's story, but I don't necessarily want to do that. I think it's okay to have different universes with different devils and like different ideas. I think that's totally fine. I'm not too worried about connecting the lore here. I mean, there is no lore, you know? It's like, literally, we're just writing to get the exercises done and like, you know, enjoy the process of writing together as a group of people who enjoy writing together, you know? So let's go here. Let's go ahead and put down the prompt, which is going to be this one right here. Oh, actually, I need to grab this. There we go. Oh. Now we need to put down the link, which should be here. And I think that's good. Okay, so before we go any further, I do want to say that I do really appreciate anybody who happens to be here. Like, I really do. I know that, like, it's a weird stream. I get it. It's a weird stream. I get that. But I really do enjoy it. And I think that, like, there is a... I don't know. Yesterday's stream went really, really well. I know it was like the first stream that I've ever done, but it went really, 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 really well. Oh, hey, Batman's Boy Wonder. Thanks for rating. I really appreciate it. How are you doing? So we're basically what we're doing is we're going through all the writing prompts on Reddit. We're figuring out one that like we find interesting, and then we're just writing it. That's it. It's just like an hour, maybe hour and a half of just pure writing, enjoying our time writing together as people who enjoy writing together, and that's it. So the writing prompt that we chose today was, well, it finally happened, Satan quit, even he has his limits. And the idea here is basically a reincarnation story. So what we're doing is we're saying that the devil has been living for like centuries, millennia in the underworld, right? And he's consistently been seeing people reincarnate again and again and again and living their lives again and again and again, and he wants a piece of that. But he can't, because part of the process of reincarnation is the act of like blending your soul material with some other person, and he has not found someone that he resonates with until recently. And so the story is like more or less a love story about how he has found somebody that he wants to reincarnate with, and then he also has reason to reincarnate with, like, finally he's found his reason to reincarnate. Essentially, that's the story we're trying to tell. I don't know how good it's gonna, like, again, it's quite hard to write on stream. I assume you were rating from the like reading and writing category, so you might also be a writer as well. And so you understand it's very difficult to write on stream. This is also like my second stream, so I'm doing the best I can, and I hope it's okay. Anyway, that's where we're at. Thank you so much for the raid, and anyone who happens to be in chat as well. We didn't have too many people, but feel free to follow Batman's Boy Wonder. I like Robin. Who doesn't like Robin? So I don't know. I hope you guys enjoy your time here, and I hope anyone who was here before enjoys their time with Batman's stream as well. What were you doing on stream, by the way? Okay, let me get some water. I am super nervous. Okay, it's okay. Okay, so, I was writing fanfic. Gotta write the hurt comfort vibes I crave. What fanfic? I've actually never written fanfic. Is it fun? Well, I guess it is fun. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. Like, but what were you fanning about? Like, what were you like writing about? Okay, so what was the story here? So the story that we want to talk about is I need to get that feeling wistfulness across. Right, so that's the number one thing. I have to somehow get this feeling of like the devil like wanting to reincarnate over time and time. Like there has to be something, right? So how do I get this across? I enjoy it. It's not everyone's cup of tea. And I was writing about my OC Damien. What's a Damien? Okay, so wistfulness. Okay, so there is a, oh, by the way, guys, I said this yesterday. I'm going to keep saying it because it's always going to be true. Your first sentence, whenever you write, is always going to be just, okay, maybe this is just me, but it's always hot garbage. It takes like a significant amount of time of writing and rewriting before the writing becomes good. And so part of this streaming process is hopefully showing that to people and explaining that like, hey, sometimes what you write is a bit garbage, but it's okay because you iterate and reiterate until eventually it becomes good. And that's life. In fact, I think every creative endeavor is kind of like that, where you have to kind of start with crap and then eventually polish it off into something that looks nice. And so that's also what we're doing here. Again, what I'm trying to do here in this paragraph is explain like the reincarnation cycle and how there's like one thing that has prevented him from reincarnating his entire life. I usually get it on the first try, thankfully. It's the rest that I struggle with. I'm going to lurk, though, my friend. It's 2 a.m. Oh, hey, go to sleep. You know, I appreciate you coming in. I really do. By the way, thank you so much for following. I really appreciate that as well. Just take a break, go to sleep, do what you need to do. I know it's like late for people in the US. I'm in Europe myself, so it's like 11 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, take a break, relax, do what you need to do. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Okay, wistfulness. So there is a cycle. No, the world is filled with cycles. See, this isn't quite like the idea here would be that we kind of have this circular, this in and out, a breath. That's what I'm thinking here. It's like, so you breathe in, you breathe out, you breathe in, you breathe out, right? So I think that's where I want to start here. Like something like, right? Like the feeling of cycling air through your system. You know what I mean? Like, and then like this could be a way to describe how like everyone else is breathing, but he's not, you know, like something like this, you know, like, so how do we do this? It's going to be something like, there's certain elements that are essential to life. We could do water, air, love. No, it's too much. It's too much. It's too much. Too much. Nope. Nope. Let's try this again. I've seen many people throughout the ages. Okay, I don't really like this start so much because it's like you want to start from a place that's very grounded, but I think here it's very difficult to ground to begin with. So I think I think it's okay to go ahead and give away the fact that this person is an immortal being, you know, over the like entirety of the underworld, you know. I think it's okay to give away in the first sentence. It'd be nice if we didn't have to, but it's okay. So I've seen many people throughout the ages. They have gone through many different struggles, each one with their own story to tell. Each one has their own set of struggles with their own stories to tell. Okay, we can work with this one. Stories of love, stories of loss, stories of something. You always want three, So I've seen many people throughout the ages. Each one has their own set of struggles with their own stories to tell. Each one has their own struggles and stories to tell. Stories of love, stories of loss, story of, again, love and loss. It's a bit cliche, but it's okay. Stories of love, stories of loss, stories of adventure. Adventures and anything else. And wonders. Again, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to basically what I'm trying to explain. I did this yesterday too. What I'm trying to explain is that this person sees the world moving for everyone but him. That's it. He sees everything else moving. Everyone else in the world is moving but them. Right? Because that's what it means to be the devil in this universe. It means to be someone who sees the world moving without, basically oversee that movement in the world, but not be able to move themselves. And so that stagnation, I think, is also part of his angst, So I've seen many people throughout the ages. Each one has their own struggles and stories to tell. Stories of love, stories of loss, stories of adventures and wonder. Stories of adventure and wonder. There has never been. Every soul is unique in their own way. Okay? I think this is okay, right? Have overseen the cycle of reincarnation for centuries, for millennia, millennia. Hey, millennia. That's how you spell it, right? I was going to make a random Yu-Gi-Oh reference, but I don't think anyone cares about Yu-Gi-Oh here. So I've seen the cycle of reincarnation for millennia and have overseen the process by which, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I've seen many people throughout the ages. Each one has their own struggles and stories to tell. Stories of love, stories of loss, stories of adventure and wonder. Every soul is unique in their own way. I've overseen the cycle of reincarnation for millennia and overseen... Yeah, this is what I mean. I feel like if I wasn't streaming, I'd be able to get this out, but it's very hard to get this out while streaming. There's just I don't know how to put it, but there's a little bit of a delay in my thoughts and the process by which I can type them out onto my terminal. That's okay. That's life. Sometimes that happens, and that's okay. I just have to get through it. I know I'm nervous. Take a breath. It's gonna be okay. So, again, the reason I don't like this is it's kind of I don't know how to put it, but when you're telling a story, right, you don't want to give away any element you don't need to give away too early. And this is very clearly, it might be okay because it's setting the stage, and it's okay to set the stage. We need to set the stage for the story to continue. And so I think it's okay. I think, yeah, it's fine. But it's telling too much. It's not... I don't want the devil to say, "Oh, I've overseen the cycle of reincarnation for millennia." I don't like that so much. I kind of want it to be more like the devil is an empty shell, like a husk. Someone, he sees movement, but is not moving themselves. That's what I'm trying to get across. So there was a day. There was a day when I was young. No, maybe when I was young, I would go on adventures with my friends. So when I was young, I'd go on adventures with my friends. Young, I was a child, and I did childish things. In the eyes of a child, a stick and stone is all we need. No. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get this perspective of again, I want to give this perspective of wistfulness, right? So the idea would be the devil used to live their life, right? And then everything stopped. when they assume the role of the devil, right? And so I think the powerful symbolisms that I want in this piece, I want one, I want him to give up his pitchfork. I think that's a great symbolism, right? So it gives up the pitchfork, which is a symbol of the devil. And we could say that that pitchfork is the thing that, like, anyone who picks it up, that's how he gives his devil ship to the next devil. Whoever picks it up will become the devil next. I think that's great. I think that's actually a really good beat. So I want him to give up his pitchfork. And 2, I want him to find love. Okay, and we can pull off of the same, like, kind of devil underworldy thing that we had, we can pull off the same, like, devil underworldy thing that we had yesterday of, like, people kind of, like, ambling through, like, an exact copy of the world that, that's, like, basically the underworld is more or less like the Greek underworld, you know, where people are, like, it's not like hell or brimstone or anything. It's more like just people are walking through an exact replica of the world, and, like, they don't have, like, a soul, or, like, they don't understand why they're walking, you know? So, okay, let's keep going. Good. Okay, so then what we have to do is we have to explain him picking up the pitchfork, and then we have to explain him putting it back down. When I was a child, I had a friend. Okay, a little bit, you know, straightforward, but we can go from here. When I was a child, I had a friend. A person. A companion I did everything with. This could be a good beat, right? So I think the beat here would be that the friend moved on, but he didn't, you know? And because he didn't move on, he doesn't really know how to, like, yeah, basically he didn't move on in life, he didn't move on in death, and he has to find a reason to move on. And that's it. That's what we have to do. So when I was a child, I had a friend, a companion I did everything with. We swam in rivers. We climbed mountains. We found love and lost. No, I don't like using the word love. I think it's, like, too much. So when I was a child, I had a friend, a companion I did everything with. We swam in rivers. We climbed mountains. What is something else you do with a kid? What do you do? What do you do with children? What do children do together with each other? They played games. We played games. We swam in rivers. We climbed mountains. I think I'll put this up here. At the time, our imagination was our guide and the world was our canvas. Okay, so the idea here is that we're setting up, this person has a very close friendship with someone, and they can't figure out how to move on from that friendship. Yeah, okay, so maybe it should actually be like, it should be a romantic partner, because, like, there is supposed to be some romance in the story about how they gave up their pitchfork for romance, right? Let's just keep writing and see where we go. I do like this intro, though. When I was a child, I had a friend, a companion I did everything with. We played games, we swam in rivers, we climbed mountains. At the time, our imagination was our guide, and the world was our canvas. That's fine. That's fine. Then it happened. One day, my friend was gone. Okay, we're getting there. This is going to be good. Throughout my life, I kept seeing him again and again in small pieces of fabric, blowing in the wind, in reflections, on the water, in laughter caught through branches, in the forest. So ideally, these mimic what we had in the previous sentence. So we said we played games, we swam in rivers, we climbed mountains. So in reflections on water, matches of rivers, laughter caught through branches in the forest, I think is okay for the mountains. But in small pieces of fabric blowing in the wind, that doesn't quite get what I'm looking for. So like, okay. So when I was a child, I had a friend, a companion I did everything with. We played games, we swam in rivers, we climbed mountains. At the time, our imagination was our guide, and the world was our canvas. Then it happened. One day, my friend was gone. Throughout my life, I kept seeing him again and again, in small pieces of fabric blowing in the wind, in reflections on the water, in laughter caught through branches in the forest. It's okay. It's okay. We got this. So the point is that he has not moved on. And he will not move on from this friendship. It's like a Naruto Sasuke situation, isn't it? Anyway, okay, doesn't matter. He's not moving on. Eventually, I too was gone. Right? And then he begins wandering the afterlife, right? That's what they do in this universe, wandering the afterlife. Even so, I found him. I found small glimpses of my friend while wandering the afterlife. All the mountains, all the rivers, all the mountains, all the rivers, rivers reminded me of him. Okay, I'm gonna have to do some creative licensing here because this is not friendship. You know, this is like definitely a romantic interest. So when I was a child, I had a friend, a companion I did everything with. We played games, we swam in rivers, we climbed mountains. At the time, our imagination was our guide and the world was our canvas. Then it happened. One day, my friend was gone. Throughout my life, I kept seeing him again and again, in small pieces of fabric blowing in the wind, in reflections on the water, in laughter caught through branches in the forest. Caught by. Eventually, I too was gone. Even so, I found small glimpses of my friend while wandering the afterlife. All the mountains, all the rivers, everything reminded me of him. One day, I found, while walking in the emptiness of the underworld, I saw something odd. I saw something odd along a sandbank. I read trident. Trident? I read trident. I saw something odd. And then I think it's okay if I don't say sandbank. I think I'll just say, I saw something odd. A red trident. A red trident. Poking through a sandbank. I think that's okay. So one day while walking in the emptiness of the underworld, I saw something odd. A red trident poking through a sandbank. At first, I avoided it and kept walking. But somehow, no matter what direction I walked in, I found myself back at the sand, back in the desert, staring at it. Okay, this isn't super great, but it's okay. We'll keep going through. Oh, I forgot to do something, by the way. I need to change my stream title. I totally forgot to do it. So this needs to be short story. The Devil Quit. Devil's Reincarnation. Okay, that's good. Done. Okay, so let me reread this paragraph. One day, while walking in the emptiness of the underworld, I saw something odd. A red trident poking through a sandbank. At first, I avoided it and kept walking, but somehow, no matter what direction I walked in, what direction I went, I found myself back in the desert staring at it. It called me. Like, it has to be something like, it called me. I had no choice but to pick it up. So when I did so, I felt something. So it called me. I had no choice but to pick it up. When I did so, I felt something I'd never felt before. Again, that's very cliche, but I felt calm. I felt a soothing calmness. Something, a faint memory. Again, this person has set up their life so that the story is set up in such a way that this person, like, when I was a child, I had a friend, a companion I did everything with. We played games, we swam in rivers, we climbed mountains. At the time, our imagination was our guide and the world was our canvas. Then it happened. One day, my friend was gone. Throughout my life, I kept seeing him again and again, in small pieces of fabric blowing in the wind, in reflections on the water, in laughter caught by branches in the forest. Eventually, I too was gone. Even so, I found small glimpses of my friend while wandering the afterlife. All the mountains, all the rivers, everything reminded me of him. Okay, this is like super cliche. It's okay. It's okay. Not every writing prompt has to be good. Sometimes you just write, and sometimes it's not great, and that's okay. One day, while walking in the emptiness of the underworld, I saw something odd. A red trident poking through a sandbank. At first, I avoided it and kept walking, but somehow, no matter what direction I went, I found myself back in the desert, staring at it. It called me. I had no choice but to pick it up. When I did so, I felt a soothing calmness. So they don't want to feel calmness. They want to feel alive, right? It's not that they felt calm. Maybe calmness is part of it, but it's a feeling of, like, peace, a feeling of meaning, a feeling of, I felt my friend again. Maybe, like, when I did so, I felt my friend again. The thing is, again, I have to be totally, completely honest. This person is more than a friend, apparently. I mean, like, maybe in, like, the devil's mind, it's just a friend, but, like, very clearly, based on the writing, you should be able to infer that it's more than just a friend. Either that, or it's like some crazy Sasuke Naruto situation happening. But it's okay. Let's keep going. We're gonna get through it. So when I did so, I felt my friend again. No, it feels weird now. If we paint this as a romantic relationship, you don't want to say I felt my friend again. That's kind of a bit weird. Yeah. So I don't want to feel my friend again. Let's not do that one. I felt a certain calmness, a peace, a meaning. I felt like I could express myself in a way that I hadn't since I was a child. So again, the trident gives her meaning, right? All of a sudden, somehow, I don't know why, but in this universe, Satan's a girl, okay? Like, that's just what it is. It's a girl. It has to be, like, I guess it could be like, I mean, okay, look, if the friend is a guy, this could be a romantic situation. That's totally fine. I don't mind, but it just somehow, like, I'm getting very clearly feminine vibes from this person. So I think that's okay. Not a big deal. So with that in mind, that gives us a little bit more information about, like, what the main character is like. And I think we can kind of go from there. So when I did so, I felt a certain calmness, a peace, a meaning. I felt like I could express myself in a way that I hadn't since I was a child. And I felt like I had a purpose. A purpose for the next several millennia. Nope. Millennium puzzle. Okay? For the next several millennia, I acted as the Grim Reaper, as an escort to the souls in the underworld. I learned about how it works. I learned about the cycle of reincarnation. I learned about the cycle of reincarnation and so this is very important to get across. So in this reality, reincarnation only happens when two souls combine in the underworld. So it's very important for her to understand that like the only way for her to reincarnate is if she mixes with someone. And so the idea is that she will find her friend's soul and she'll mix with that person, right? That's the idea. She'll put up her trident and she'll reincarnate together with her friend, right? I put up my trident for the... I put up my trident. Okay, something like this. We're building into that, okay? We're building into that. So for the next several millennia, I acted as an escort to the souls in the underworld. I learned about the cycle of reincarnation. For the next several millennia, I acted as an escort to the souls in the underworld. I learned about the cycle of reincarnation. Where two souls combine into a new baby that exists to live back on Earth. Okay? Something like this. For the next several millennia, I acted as an escort to souls in the underworld. I learned about the cycle of reincarnation, where two souls combine into a new baby to live back on Earth. Time and time again, I saw the same souls wandering aimlessly as I once had. I saw the children of the souls. I saw, time and time again, I saw the same souls wandering aimlessly as I once had, and guided them towards peace. For the next several millennia, I acted as an escort to souls in the underworld. I learned about the cycle of reincarnation, where two souls combine into a new baby to live back on Earth. Time and time again, I saw the same souls, the same people wandering aimlessly as I once had, and guided them towards peace. There has to be like a tinge. What I want to do is like I want to describe what the act of reincarnation looks like, you know? Like basically two souls embracing each other, and you know, there's a flash of light and they're gone, right? Time and time again, I saw the same souls wandering aimlessly as I once had, and guided them towards peace, towards reincarnation. I think I can go ahead and get rid of this sentence. Put this here. So for the next several millennia, I acted as an escort to souls in the underworld. Time and time again, I saw the same souls wandering aimlessly as I once had. The same people. I just don't like the fact that I use souls in like two sentences next to each other. It's okay. Again, it's a writing prompt. So for the next several millennia, I acted as an escort to souls in the underworld. Time and time again, I saw the same and guided them Okay, for the next several millennia, I acted as an escort to souls in the underworld and guided them towards peace, towards reincarnation. I would see two completely different people. I would see two ghosts. I would watch as ghosts embraced one another in a flash of light, vanishing into the body of a newborn baby on Earth. I think that's okay. I think this describes what's happening. It describes what, and now we basically need to describe how, like, there's a feeling that they were not happy with being there anymore, right? Like, basically, for a time, I found peace. In the peace, I found, for a time, I found joy in the joy of others. I lived vicariously. That's what I want. I lived vicariously. I lived vicariously through the souls of those I helped. For a time, I lived vicariously through the souls of those I helped. When they found joy, so did I. I think I can put this into the other paragraph up there. But then I started feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Saw something. Something I never thought I would see again. I saw something, rather someone. But then I saw something, rather someone I never thought I'd see again. Again, it's okay to kind of push the story forward in that way, but let me read through what I've got and see if we can kind of go from there. So, when I was a child, I had a friend, a companion I did everything with. We played games, we swam in rivers, we climbed mountains. At the time, our imagination was our guide and the world was our canvas. Then it happened. One day, my friend was gone. Throughout my life, I kept seeing him again and again. In small pieces of fabric blowing in the wind, in reflections on the water, in laughter caught by branches in the forest. Eventually, I too was gone. Even so, I found small glimpses of my friend while wandering the afterlife. All the mountains, all the rivers, everything reminded me of him. One day, while walking in the emptiness of the underworld, I saw something odd. A red trident poking through a sandbank. At first, I avoided it and kept walking, but somehow, no matter what direction I went, I found myself back in the desert staring at it. It called me. I had no choice but to pick it up. And when I did so, I felt a certain calmness, a peace, a meaning, a purpose. I felt like I could express myself in a way that I hadn't since I was a child. For the next several millennia, I acted as an escort to souls in the underworld and guided them towards peace, towards reincarnation. I would watch as ghosts embraced one another in a flash of light, vanishing into the body of a newborn baby on Earth. For a time, I lived vicariously through the souls of those I helped. When they found joy, so did I. Let me get some water. Again, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, anything like that, feel free to let me know, and I'll totally address it as soon as I see it in chat. So, for a time, I lived vicariously through the souls of those I helped. When they found joy, so did I. I think this is okay, but I feel like it needs a little bit. So, but then I saw something. Then I saw something. Something. The soul of my friend, wandering as I once had. He had become a husk of the person he used to be. To be honest, I barely recognized him, as he had become a husk of the person he used to be while wandering for so long. Oh my goodness, I can't type. Wandering. But then I saw something. The soul of my friend wandering as I once had. To be honest, the soul of my friend. To be honest, I barely recognized him, as he had become a husk of the person he used to be while wandering for so long. That's okay. That's fine. It's good. But then I saw something. The soul of my friend. To be honest, I barely recognized him, as he had become a husk of the person he used to be while wandering for so long. Good. That's fine. I tried to escort him. As I did so many others. But it pained me to do so. I tried to escort him as I had so many others before. But it pained me to do so. But then I saw something, the soul of my friend. To be honest, I barely recognized him as he had become a husk of the person he used to be while wandering for so long. I tried to escort him as I had so many others before, but it pained me to do so. But then I saw something. I tried to escort him. Eventually I found myself in the desert at the same sandbank I was at so many years before. I knew, not immediately because obviously they'd been walking around. After some time, I sat down and just talked. For hours, I talked. He said nothing. But then I saw something, the soul of my friend. To be honest, I barely recognized him as he had become a husk of the person he used to be while wandering for so long. I tried to escort him as I had so many others before, but it pained me to do so. He was not the person. Eventually, I found myself in the desert at the same sandbank I was at so many years before. I sat down with my friend and just talked. For hours, I talked. He didn't respond. It was then that I realized he was gone. He would never come back. Okay? We sat in silence for an eternity more. Just the two of us. Not a word was spoken. It was then that I realized he was gone. He would never come back. We sat in silence for an eternity more, just the two of us. Not a word was spoken. I don't think I need that sentence. It was then that I realized he was gone. He would never come back. We sat in silence for an eternity more, just the two of us. I think I can delete this and put it down here. So we sat in silence because I think it's already inferred based on this sentence. Like, eventually I found myself in the desert at the time, at the same sandbank I was at so many years before. I sat down with my friend and just talked. For hours I talked. He didn't respond. So we sat in silence for an eternity more, just the two of us. It was then that I realized what I must do. I put down the pitchfork. I put down the pitchfork. I took a deep breath and put down my pitchfork. I took a deep breath and put down my pitchfork. I took a deep breath and put down my pitchfork. It was then that I realized what I must do. I took a deep breath and I put down my pitchfork. I need some water. My throat is dead. It was then that I realized what I must do. I took a deep breath and put down my pitchfork. Losing the sense of power I once had. I then turned to my friend and embraced him. I then turned to my friend and embraced him, crying. I think the crying's too much. That's not bad. There was a flash of light, then everything was black. Okay, I like that. I think this is okay. You know, could be better. Like I said before, when it comes to these writing prompts, like, you don't really know what you're writing before starting. And so I think considering I didn't know what I was writing before starting, this isn't so bad. Okay, so I'm gonna read through it one more time and then we're gonna do it like yesterday. We're gonna have like a big kind of like read through the whole thing as best as we can with like the sound visualizer and all that kind of stuff. So let me read through it for typos, make sure it makes sense. So, the devil's reincarnation. When I was a child, I had a friend, a companion I did everything with. We played games, we swam in rivers, we climbed mountains. At the time, our imagination was our guide and the world was our canvas. That analogy doesn't quite work. Like our imagination should be our brush. Was our brush and the world was our canvas? At the time, our imagination was our brush. Our imagination was our brush and the world was our canvas. It's okay. It's not the best analogy. It's fine. Then it happened. One day, my friend was gone. Throughout my life, I kept seeing him again and again, in small pieces of fabric blowing in the wind, in reflections on the water, in laughter caught by branches in the forest. Eventually, I too was gone. Even so, I found small glimpses of my friend while wandering the afterlife. All the mountains, all the rivers, everything reminded me of him. One day, while walking in the emptiness of the underworld, I saw something odd. A red trident poking through a sandbank. At first, I avoided it and kept walking. But somehow, no matter what direction I went, I found myself back in the desert, staring at it. It called me. I had no choice but to pick it up. When I did so, I felt a certain calmness, a peace, a meaning, a purpose. I felt like I could express myself in a way I hadn't since I was a child. For the next several millennia, I acted as an escort to souls in the underworld and guided them towards peace, towards reincarnation. I would watch as ghosts embraced one another in a flash of light, vanishing into the body of a newborn baby on Earth. For a time, I lived vicariously through the souls of those I helped. When they found joy, so did I. But then I saw something, the soul of my friend. To be honest, I barely recognized him, as he had become a husk of the person he used to be while wandering for so long. I tried to escort him, as I had so many others before. Eventually, I found myself in the desert, at the same sandbank I was at so many years before. I sat down with my friend and just talked. For hours, I talked. He didn't respond. So we sat in silence for an eternity more, just the two of us. It was then that I realized what I must do. I took a deep breath and put down my pitchfork, losing the sense of power I once had. I then turned to my friend and embraced him. There was a flash of light, then everything was black. Not bad. I think it's okay. That's okay. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best writing I've ever done, but I am going to say it's okay. That's pretty good. And okay is okay, you know? So let's go ahead and turn this into a video, get the audio visualizer up, and we're going to go through the whole thing. So I need to CD back here, CD one more directory, lscd into scripts, and then we want to do convert to video, back into source content, 2025, April 1.md. There we go. Turn it into a video, pull that bad boy up, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to open up my audio visualizer over here on... Nope. There. Perfect. Okay, give it a second. Okay. So now the audio visualizer should be up, I think. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I think I have to do this. 1 second. There we go. Allow. Now let's try it. Okay, it's not in the right spot because I have to do this. And now I think it's okay. So now you should see the audio visualizer. We should be able to put the script up. So mpv. I think final.mp4. Make it this size. Bring this up. That should be okay. Go back to the start. Okay, there we go. We should be okay. Devil's Reincarnation. Let me go ahead and turn off the music for this. Okay, so we should be good to go. Again, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, anything like that, feel free to let me know. I think now we can finally read through the story that we wrote today, The Devil's Reincarnation. Okay? So, again, this is a story we wrote today. We looked at a writing prompt on Reddit. We found one about how the devil quit, finally, after years of struggle. And we ended up writing this story. So, let me go ahead and read it in 3, 2, 1. The Devil's Reincarnation. When I was a child, I had a friend, a companion I did everything with. We played games, we swam in rivers, we climbed mountains. At the time, our imagination was our brush, and the world was our canvas. Then it happened. One day, my friend was gone. Throughout my life, I kept seeing him again and again, in small pieces of fabric blowing in the wind, in reflections on the water, in laughter caught by branches in the forest. Eventually, I too was gone. Even so, I found small glimpses of my friend while wandering the afterlife. All the mountains, all the rivers, everything reminded me of him. One day, while walking in the emptiness of the underworld, I saw something odd. A red trident poking through the sandbank. One day, while walking in the emptiness of the underworld, I saw something odd. A red trident poking through a sandbank. At first, I avoided it and kept walking. But somehow, no matter what direction I went, I found myself back in the desert, staring at it. It called me. I had no choice but to pick it up. When I did so, I felt a certain calmness, a peace, a meaning, a purpose. I felt like I could express myself in a way I hadn't since I was a child. For the next several millennia, I acted as an escort to souls in the underworld and guided them towards peace, towards reincarnation. I would watch as ghosts embraced one another in a flash, vanishing into the body of a newborn baby on Earth. For a time, I lived vicariously through the souls of those I helped. When they found joy, so did I. One second. But then I saw something. But then I saw something. The soul of my friend. To be honest, I barely recognized him, as he had become a husk of the person he used to be while wandering for so long. I tried to escort him, as I had so many others. Eventually, I found myself in the desert, at the same sandbank I was at so many years before. I sat down with my friend and just talked. For hours, I talked. He didn't respond. So we sat in silence for an eternity more, just the two of us. It was then that I realized what I must do. I took a deep breath and put down my pitchfork, losing the sense of power I once had. I then turned to my friend and embraced him. There was a flash of light. Then everything was black. And that's it. The prompt was, well, it's finally happened. Satan quit. Even he has his limits. I think, okay, couple things. One, I clearly wrote the story as if it was like a feminine person. You know what I mean? Like it was not necessarily like he has his limits, but it's okay. It's fine. Like, I think overall it's like a really good story. It's okay if the gender doesn't really matter that much. The other thing is, I learned that my script, I need to work on it a little bit. If we have so yesterday it worked perfectly fine. Like the rate at which the video was like scrolling was perfect for reading. Today it was a little bit slow, so I have to fix that a little bit. I'm not entirely sure how to fix it. But that's okay. Ultimately, relatively happy with today's, article, or not article. I'm relatively happy with today's prompt. I think it turned out really well. I'm really happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and put it on my website, and I'm going to go ahead and post it onto Reddit. So let's go here. And then we're going to cd back a directory, vimake.jl. And I think what I want to do is I want to do this. March. One second. And then we're going to start April. And what was it called? It was called The Devil's Reincarnation. And it's going to be in April 1. All right, let's just make it really quick. So Julia make.jl. Documenter, double dash project. And let me turn the audio visualizer off because we don't need it anymore. Okay. Let me take a look in Firefox. So Firefox build index.html. Okay, this is what I'm seeing. So we have April, The Devil's Reincarnation, index.html. Looks great. Wow, that actually ended up being quite short. Sorry. And then March, Hell's Administrator, index. Yeah, yesterday's was a lot longer, but that's okay. Sometimes you have short prompts. In fact, short prompts are sometimes better because it's more likely people read them to begin with. So I'm happy with that. I think it's okay. And now let's go ahead and commit it to GitHub. Git add make.jl. Git add source content. 2025 April. There we go. Git status. Good. Okay, so git commit -m, adding story for April 1st. There we go. And git push origin main. That should be okay. And now let's go ahead and put it on Reddit. VI source, content, source content. I think I have to open up in LibreOffice or something. Source content, 2025, April 1.md. Let's just go ahead and grab this guy. Okay. A, C, and over here. V, and now go ahead and put www.amphimancer.com. Yank, and paste. And let's go up here to the top and delete that. Okay, that should be good. I'm gonna go ahead and save that. I hope people like it. I had a really fun time writing the prompt. Again, today was a little bit short, but that's okay. Some days are a little bit short. There's no problem with that. I think this is where I want to end stream for today. So just an hour and 30 minutes. We did like 30 minutes of like looking up different prompts, all that kind of stuff. Then we did an hour of writing. I think that's good. You know, it could be better. I guess maybe some people want like longer streams, but ultimately I'm happy with this. I think it was a really good stream. I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow for the next stream where we do another writing prompt. I'm really looking forward to it. I've been having a lot of fun with this, and I recognize that like not everybody really likes this type of content. I get that. That's fine. But I do really appreciate anybody who was here. I appreciate Batman Boy Wonder for the raid. I appreciate Kachaga from being here as well. Actually, did I even pronounce that right? I always forget how to pronounce it, but that's okay. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Have a wonderful day, night, afternoon, morning, evening, whatever time it happens to be your time. And I'll see you guys around next time for the next episode of Amphimancer when we do more writing. Again, I'm really enjoying this so far, and I would like to keep going with it. If you guys have any comments, like concerns, anything like that, let me know either here or in the YouTube VOD or whatever it is. Again, I'm really enjoying this process, and I hope other people are as well. And that's it. So bye, guys. First, I need to say bye to YouTube. YouTube, bye YouTube, bye. Okay, so now I think YouTube is done. And so now let's go ahead and do Twitch. So bye Twitch. See you tomorrow. Bye.